Welcome back, Lane. We'll be now talking about this issue of dismissing the keyboard using uh, using the keyboard itself, the return key. So we have an application that allows us to input text and then display it there on our label. We can dismiss the keyboard using the button touching the background, but we also want to be able to dismiss the keyboard by pressing that return button, or having pressed it with our keyboard. So how are we going to do that? Let's take a look at the code further, some of the documentation to figure that one out. Now our keyboard is coming up because the UI text field becomes the first responder. And it turns out that the UI text field class has some methods. It's called a delegate protocol that will allow us to respond to various usages of the keyboard, such as the pressing of the return button. And I need to show you some information in the documentation in order to explain that one. So we'll go ahead and do the special trick. I think it's the Alt key or Option key or something. Hold down that Option key, and you notice the hovering effect, the question mark. That brings up some documentation references. So we can press on the UI text field class reference, and that will bring up the documentation for the UI text field class reference. And if we look at the description, we see a comment about a text field object supports the use of a delegate object to handle editing related notifications. You can use this delegate to customize the editing behavior of the control and provide guidance for when certain actions should occur. For more information on the methods supported by the delegate, see UI text field delegate protocol. So what's going on with that? Let's go ahead and press the UI text field delegate protocol reference. And here we can see some of these editing related notifications. The one that we're interested in is this one. Text field should return. This is referring to pressing the return button or the enter key. So we'll look into that. So ask the delegate if the text field should process the pressing of the return button. So in other words, this method will be triggered when the user presses the return button on the keyboard. And we can have custom code to respond to the pressing of the return button that will go ahead and dismiss the keyboard, which is what we want to do. And I know this this is a bit complicated, but basically what we'll be setting up is we'll be setting up a situation where we're in our view controller, this area where we've been writing our code. We're going to give access to that view controller to implement delegate methods of this UI text field. So in a way, this view controller will be listening in on methods going on in the UI text field. And this concept of delegation is tricky, and it took me a while to understand it. But it's analogous to a delegate in, say, a political party, or a delegate in for, say, royalty, where this delegate represents a group, or it represents a political power. And there's a series of sort of conditions or steps that need to be in place for that to be working properly. Where that, if you just think about the analogy of a delegate, like say the United Nations, the delegate needs to get the job, the delegate needs to know the rules, so what's expected of him or her, and the delegate needs to actually perform or like have a plan of how to carry on his or her tasks, and then finally uh, needs to actually do it, like execute on his or her role. So let me show you how that analogy plays out in the coding here, the use of the delegate. So we look back on our nib file, and we go ahead and click on the UI text field, because this is where we're going to be assigning a delegate, and we're going to be delegating responsibility to the view controller, so that the view controller will be implementing a method, delegate protocol, and specifically responding to the user pressing that return button. So what we need to do is we need to open up that connections inspector, and then with the that text field selected, we could use a jump bar to really be sure. Okay, we can see these options, and we need to find delegate. So it's right there, and we need to click on the dot here and drag it onto the file's owner. So the file's owner is that view controller. So the view controller.h.m owns this nib file. So again, imagine that dotted line between the file's owner icon here and the code. And so we see here, delegate is now connected to the file's owner. So that's like sort of getting the job. The view controller gets the job as a delegate of the UI text field. Now, let's go ahead and modify the header file of the view controller so that it knows it's sort of saying, hey guys, here's the rules. The rules are in the UI text field delegate, and we can drill down on that, and then that this is that same documentation reference that we were seeing earlier, where it's telling us the available delegate protocol. Specifically, we're interested in this one. This text field should return. And we could also look at that header file, and it shows us the available delegate. See, these are all optional. They begin editing, in editing, and then here, this is the text field should return. So we could copy that, but I'll copy it from the class reference this time. So we can hover over that delegate. This is sort of the rules, and then we go in the class reference, and we find under tasks this method we're interested in, and you see it has a minus sign, so that's going to be what we're interested in. So let's go ahead and just copy this method. And again, that the view controller has been now given the job as the delegate for this this text field right here. And now now that it's been given the job, it can implement methods on the text field's behalf. And specifically, we do that by copying in the implementation methods into our .m of the view controller. And we've just done that, and it's empty currently. And you see it's giving us a warning that's supposed to be returning a bool, but it's returning nothing at this point. So we can just say return yes. Yes, it should return. Okay. But this by itself isn't interesting. We want to do something custom in here. We want the iPhone application to respond in a certain way to the user having pressed that return button, because when the return button is pressed, this method gets activated, and then it's going to execute the code within that method. Specifically, what do we want to do? We want to resign first responder of that UI text field element. In other words, we want to dismiss the keyboard. And we can do that, yes, by saying, self dot my text field, just as we did before. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll show you that works. And I'll just run it in the simulator. So we put in lane here. Now we press return. There. See, it dismissed the keyboard now. So our other functionality is still working just fine. So we got it. So we could just stop there. But the thing is, there might be multiple different input text fields. So it's actually better to use this argument that's provided to us in the method, because it's more kind of specific. So instead of using this this reference to the self.myTextField, we can just use this argument that's been passed in and available to us, because that's referring to the specific text field that we're dealing with. So we can say text field resign first responder. Input lane, return, and that also works. Now we might also want to be updating the message when we press return. So I'll use sort of poor coding practice here at this point, and then copy and paste those operations. Okay, lane, return. There, got it. Now, if we wanted to be cleaner, we would refactor this and put it into its own special function. Well, why don't we do that? So we'll just say void update label, say. Close that. And then we'll move this here, and then we'll use a self date label. Oh, now it doesn't like that. Maybe update. I think it wants to be declared. So let's just go ahead and make a method. Update label. Let's see if it's available now. There it is. It's available now. Ooh. Gosh. Actually, it's probably better for us to use the brackets here. Update label. Yes. I wonder if it'll give me a. I wanna try to simplify this. Let's see if it gives me an error. Oh, I think it's liking that. Let's see. Lane. Very good. Great. So now this code is in just one place, that helper method, and so we can comment out this stuff and just use our helper method. So self update label, and we'll run that. Lane. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, that's working. And then we'll say jelly. And then this time we'll say return. There, got it. Updated it. And then it also dismissed the keyboard. Okay. And then just to clean it up, we can delete out some of those comments. Yeah. Okay, and then just one final little check. Lane, learn. Jelly, enter. There, got it. Done.